Hello, my name's Keith Haswell. I'm a professional astrologer and I've got 25,000 clients worldwide. My pleasure to welcome you to my website and to my teachings. Now, I'm going to be talking with you on this video about the houses of the horoscope. In order to understand the houses of the horoscope, which is what I'm going to be talking about here, I want you to understand the nature of consciousness a little bit more. And I want to lift you into a higher state of consciousness so that you can make sense of what I'm trying to say to you about the houses of the horoscope. And so what I'm trying to say to you is this, is that consciousness is the primary mover in the universe. And it's consciousness that creates form and not the other way around. Science posits the idea that consciousness is a product of the brain. But what I'm trying to say to you is that the brain is a product of consciousness, that everything starts with consciousness. And there's higher states of consciousness, there's varying levels of consciousness. Now they can't measure these varying levels of consciousness with their instruments. And so therefore they say that it doesn't exist. They say that there's no such thing as the emotional plane. They say that there's no such thing as the etheric plane. They say that there's no such thing as the mental plane. But what I'm trying to say to you is that there are higher dimensions of consciousness, and the lower levels of consciousness are the result of these higher levels of consciousness. So this is what I want to work on. Now, you think about the workings of the liver. The liver is a consciousness unit. So everything starts with these elemental lives. Elemental lives are consciousness units. Consciousness units that have all of the properties, all of the qualities, and all of the powers of the whole, the one world soul. And the properties of consciousness is unlimited capacity for expansion. And so this is what I'm trying to say to you, is that you try and think about how intricate the liver is and how it works with working with the immune system and replenishing the broken cells and the damaged cells. And you think about the lungs, that's another consciousness unit, that's another elemental life, and how the lungs work to take in the air and take the oxygen out of the air and put it into the blood and circulate that throughout the body, and the heart pumps it. The heart is another consciousness unit, another elemental life. And so what I'm trying to say to you is this, is that consciousness is the primary mover, and consciousness evolves under the laws that have been set up by God and Goddess from the very beginning. So surely that's not too much for you to be able to swallow, that consciousness evolves through this involutionary arc, these elemental lives, and through gradual adaptation and expansion works its way into the mineral kingdom, and over a long period of time works its way eventually into the plant kingdom, and then eventually works its way into the animal kingdom, and then finds its way eventually into the human kingdom. And the human kingdom is the first level of self-consciousness. Animals don't have self-consciousness. And the plant kingdom is a lesser state of consciousness, a lesser expression of consciousness than the animal kingdom. And the plant kingdom is a massive state of consciousness compared with the mineral kingdom. And the mineral kingdom is a massive state of consciousness compared with the elemental lives, the baby lives that are coming down into matter. So this is what's happening, is that consciousness is evolving. Now, the crux of what I'm trying to say to you here is that should we limit consciousness as it evolves to the human level, as science wants to do? They want to look out there into space and find other Earths, other planets that will express life and express consciousness at the human level. They're not humble enough to say, well, hang on, maybe there's higher levels of consciousness beyond the human level that we can't comprehend, that we can't measure with our instruments, that we can't put under the microscope, that we don't understand the way that they function. And this is what I'm trying to say to you, is that it's not outrageous for me to tell you that the human level is the first level of self-consciousness in the universe. And so therefore it's not a stretch of the imagination then for me to tell you that we live within the body of a being whose body of manifestation is the earth, and that he has evolved through the human kingdom the same as what we are doing. And he has become a higher level of consciousness whereby his body of manifestation is a planet, and all life forms and all consciousnesses in that planet are an expression of his body. And so he has centers in his body just as we have centers, etheric centers in our body, and we have emotional centers in our body, and we have mental centers in our body, and it goes higher and higher and higher. So there, I've got it all out. We live in the body of a being of consciousness whose body of manifestation is the planet Earth. So now it's not a stretch for you to be able to say that the other planets in the solar system are also expressions of beings of consciousness, self-consciousness. So therefore it's not too much of a stretch of the imagination now when I speak to you about what's going on with the houses of your horoscope. Now we can get down to the nitty-gritty of where you are living, where you are conscious, the space-time rule set that you live in, and the bodies, the etheric stroke physical body, the emotional body, and the mental body that you are conscious in, that you are expressing your life and your consciousness and your awareness, and where you are experimenting and experiencing and expressing that consciousness to become more of who you really are. So it's not too much of a stretch of the imagination when I say to you that God and Goddess have put into place through these planetary beings laws that are designed to help you to become more of who you really are and to evolve and expand. Okay, now let's look at a practical level at the houses of your horoscope. Now, what I suggest to you is that you play all of my preliminary videos. I've numbered them for your convenience so that you can then play them all in their right sequence, because in each video I lift you into gradually expanding consciousness. But let's now look at the houses of the horoscope. The houses of the horoscope begin with you taking your first breath. So you take your first breath, and that's the eastern horizon, the point on the eastern horizon of the zodiac, and that becomes the start of your first house. And then we go around in 30-degree segments around the horoscope in an anti-clockwise direction, and 30 degrees later is the cusp of the second house, and then the third house, and then the fourth, and so forth. Now, these houses of your horoscope are your feedback mechanism. That's where you are creating all of the events of your life. This is what the planets are there for. The planets are there to implement God's will and to ensure that you can experience in life the events of your life as a true direct reflection of your raw materials. And your raw materials are your attitudes and beliefs, your thoughts and your feelings, and your decisions and your choices. And you mould and shape these into the events of your life through 3 tools. Nobody has any extra tools, and these are desire, imagination, and expectancy. And so you are moulding and shaping all of your raw materials into the events of your life, and they are consciousness units, and they are, by resonant causation, attracted to a particular arena of your horoscope called a house. So a house is an arena of consciousness units and an arena for the expression of your thought forms, because every single event is a thought form, an elemental life. Just like your liver is working on the mineral level, so these elemental lives, these thought forms, are working on mental and emotional levels. And they are out to manifest as physical events in your life. So you've got all of these various thought forms living in these various parts of your body that are, by resonant causation, belonging to a particular house of the horoscope, and they are seeking to express themselves as events in your life. And this is what makes them grow. So they are out to attract your attention so that they can express themselves in the space-time rule set as an event, and so that they can progress and eventually become an electron and get into the mineral kingdom through that basis. And then they can move along into the plant kingdom, and over a period of time into the animal kingdom, and so forth. So here you are dealing with these consciousness units, and every time that you have a thought, you take an undifferentiated consciousness unit and you differentiate it, and it becomes the central focus of a thought form. And that thought form does not have conscious mind. It only can carry out your will, the will of its creator. And that will is there inherent within the nature of it. So what is it? Is it a thought form of self-pity? Is it a thought form of martyrhood? Is it a thought form of limitation? Is it a thought form of I don't deserve? Is it a thought form of life is a financial struggle for me? And is it a thought form of aggression? Is it a thought form of shame? Is it a thought form of poor self-image? Is it a thought form that I never succeed? So you've got all of these thought forms that you've built up over a period of time through repetitive thinking processes and processes of feeling and processes of imagination, and you have made them strong and powerful. And so you've got these powerful thought forms that are there, and all they can do is to manifest as an event in your life that's going to reflect the nature of their being and the purpose and the intention and the function of their being. And so what are they going to manifest in your life if it is a thought form of financial privation and limitation and frustration and struggle?